Truly, you go fly to Kitty Hawk right now.
Yeah.
You take your Cherokee 6, right? You fly to Kitty Hawk, you land at First Flight Airport, you're like, man, made it to First Flight Airport. This is where Wilbur and Orville flew. That was cool. But you fly to First Flight Airport, you pull your paramotor out, you lay out your glider, you set up your motor, it takes you 10 minutes to do all that. You take off, and you go fly like Wilbur and Orville did.
Hey friends, welcome to Flight Test. I'm Josh.
And I'm Eric Farewell. My very first memory that I have in my head of anything, I was 3 years old and I was flying with my grandfather, who was World War II ace, and my uncle, who was United 747 captain, over the Groves behind my house, doing barrel rolls.
Oh my gosh.
And you know, we grew up 100 yards from a runway. It was actually where I was born, and having aviation so steeped into our culture, where we hear an airplane, you hear any airplane,
yeah.
You run outside and you go and see what it is. You got to the point where you could tell the difference between a Piper and a Cessna vaguely, but a Piper and a lake amphibian, you knew instantly what was flying over, who it might be. You started to get to know people, and I was blessed to be born into an aviation family. Mm-hmm. My grandfather flew, my grandmother flew, my mother flew, my uncle flew. Everyone around us flew, and as my cousins and I grew up, we all started to fly as well. And I was a little bit. I wouldn't say an overachiever, I'd say a rule bender. And so I decided I couldn't wait till I was 16 to solo. So I got into ultralights at about the age of 11 and just delved all this information. My grandmother had a restaurant, and she let me work there since I was 7 years old. And so I was washing dishes and making coffee and doing tours, and that paid for the first tail kit for a Minimax.
Oh, nice.
So I was 13 years old, I bought my first airplane. And quickly discovered that A-to-B kids cannot build airplanes very well.
Life experience check, yeah.
Yeah. And so I had a great experience, kind of getting this feel for aviation, being so surrounded by it, and it hasn't slowed down.
No.
I'm 31 years old, and today getting to fly the Paramotor, getting to fly RC, getting to fly. I got to fly my first race hex or Octa, or not, what is it? Quad. That's what you guys call it.
Yes, quad.
Quadcopter, and it was amazing. And it was like it's a whole new world that completely reinvigorates me and changes what I look for and whatever daily life is like.
And what we talk about with pilot and plane is really the person's relationship with that plane. For you, it's really which one at which stage of your life.
Yeah.
But one thing that your passion is obviously lined up with is right now you make a living to getting people into PPG, which is powered paragliders, right?
You know that there's a moment when you're a child that everyone has, I think, whether they have a dream about it. I never had flying dreams, ever. Yeah. But I always had this longing for flight. And I remember I was probably 7 years old, coming back from Sun and Fun one year. Again, blessed with a flying family that took me to these things. And they had this thing called the fly bike or something was the title of it. And I had no idea what this thing was. It was inside the program. And I remember envisioning riding down the hill behind our house in this pedal-powered airplane. And I thought this was what they were selling, you know? And so I was sky cycle. And so I was like, I'm going to cycle. I can ride a bike. Yeah. So I thought I would just ride down this hill and lift off and then see the world from above. And I had the ability to take rides, but not to actually fly it. And so that was what I envisioned. And I, for a long time, envisioned the cockpit. But I think the majority of us, when we think about flight, we don't think about, climbing into an airplane, doing a pre-flight, taking off. We think about literally running into the sky. And with the paramotor, it's more than that. You run into the sky and then you realize that you literally have the entire world at your fingertips. Anywhere you want to fly, it's never ending. And one of our instructors, John likes to call it the paradox of paramotoring, because every time you fly, no matter how many times you've flown, I've well over 1,000 hours flying these things. It gets better every flight.
Yeah.
You know, we flew tonight and we did things we hadn't done before. We did things we have done before. Every flight. And we didn't leave a half mile from the airport. It was still amazing.
No, you guys jumped over here. I saw dragging your feet in the lake. I saw, you and your best friend Travis flying wingtip to wingtip, and he was sharing with me what a special time that was, because you guys are obviously working around the clock with this company.
We're always
and to
working.
have that friendship time, to do it next to each other was so special to him as well. And one thing he described, paragliders don't just take off in the middle of the day when there's thermals. There's a golden couple hours in the morning, and there's a golden couple hours in the evening. And ironically, that's when the sun's rising and the sun's setting.
So it's all gorgeous. Everything's beautiful. And you can fly midday. If you have the skill, you have the experience, you've been trained for it. Like I fly midday for I actually like to thermal. I like to go up and turn the engine off for 5-6 hours and travel. Because today we flew no more than half a mile from the airport. We've done flights over 100 miles.
Oh my gosh.
And you go take off and you fly somewhere. And that's just, for me, that's still probably the most rewarding.
What's your favorite thing to do in the powered paraglider?
2 things? Is that
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
All right. The first, if anyone's seen our videos, they know this. I love to water foot drag. Statistically, it's the most dangerous thing you can do, because if you make a mistake, you go in the water and you're surrounded by lines and wearing 50 pounds on your back. Not safe. We do have flotation devices that mitigate some of that. But the concept, I used to race motorcycles, and the idea of putting your knee on the ground and going around a turn was just incredible, because you're taking something that was 2-dimensional and making it 3.
Okay.
This takes something that's already 3-dimensional and making it 4. You're flying around, you have up and down, side to side, and the moment you touch the water with your foot, you can feel this slight hydraulic pushback. You can feel if you get too deep, if you get too light. You get just the right corner where you're spraying out this beautiful rooster tail behind you. And there's something about that is just epic to me.
Now, what's your number 2 favorite thing?
You remember. Number 2 is the magic. When you take off the ground the first time, I love watching your face. Because every single student that we've trained over 250 students now, there's a moment, because we work really hard. It takes 3-4 days to get in the air, and you got to experience a moment of it.
Yeah.
It's work.
Jonathan came behind me and he pushed.
Yeah,
and it was
you're
awesome.
running and you're breathing hard and you're thinking about 30 different things at once. Yeah. And then when you tie all that in with the motor, you tie that all in with the simulator and with the towing, with everything else, you get off the ground that first time, there's a moment, there's something that switches in your eyes. And as an instructor, I always used to tell people, I go on an airplane, I used to run a marketing company, and I travel so many times a year, 50, 60, 70 times a year, I'm an airliner. And I could literally look around me and tell you who the pilots were, because there's something different in their eyes.
Yeah.
And that sounds completely cheesy, but you can watch that change happen.
Yeah.
And I get to watch that change happen at least 6 to 10 times a month. And it's so staggering to see people look at life differently because they got to fly.
Wow.
It's truly one of the best things about this sport. And it's not about me and what I love about the sport, it's about watching people experience it.
Getting other people into it.
Taught my dad to fly 3 years ago, taught my brother to fly 4 years ago, taught my sister to fly 3 years ago, taught my other brother to fly 2 years ago, big family. But I have one sibling left. My brother James went full pro, moved to Europe, flew slalom racing competitions there for the country Qatar. My brother Joseph is a full-time police officer, SWAT team guy, and he flies every chance he can get. My little sister Rebecca is already a professional skydiver, so paramotors are good. But my dad's logged over 1,000 flights in 3 years, and it's become his biggest, deepest passion. And seeing that both in family and seeing that in people that we meet, that we train every month, it is really rewarding.
What would you suggest to someone if they want to get into paramotoring? What would you want them to look at first, second, third, to get into this field?
Well, the most important thing, and I mean this, and we've talked about this before, but the most important thing is not to do what you legally can, which is you can go out and buy gear on eBay or Craigslist and go kill yourself. Yeah. Because this, like anything out there, whether you're waking up and walking across the street in the morning, you can die. And there's lots of ways to mitigate that risk. The best way of mitigating the risk is to hire a good instructor. Yeah. Whether it's us or someone like us, there are lots of great people out there. We stay really well booked up, blessedly, but we have some great friends and dealers we can recommend.
Well,
There's also a website, usppa.org, which is the United States Powered Paragliding Association, and they have a great list of dealers you can contact.
my experience, limited experience with just getting to spend a weekend with you guys and the rest of the team was this is a different aspect of flight. And the neatest thing is, if just like you think about model aviation, where you have multi-rotors and fixed wing and helicopters and all the different aspects and styles in between, this is another kind of pie wedge that even if you're in manned flight and you're flying a plane, you have a different experience. And what I felt, obviously being afraid of heights and stuff, the way this brings you up and supports you, it's almost more like levitating than it is being picked up into the air, pulled in the air, suspended in the air, filled in the blank.
I hate heights. I hate heights. I still have terrible memories of being on top of a silo in Wisconsin as a kid, just like being terrified. And I climbed up there to throw a paper airplane off, of course.
Yes.
But, I'm terrified. But this is completely different because you have the control. You are in control the whole time.
Well, and my hope too is that if this, with our group, we want to see, I want to see my best friends off on my wingtip. I want to see what you guys did just today, watching you guys fly parallel to each other, talking to each other.
Yeah.
I want to see that. And that world passes you by at maybe 25 miles an hour versus 70, 80, 100. And you have a lot more opportunity to take in the beauty that God's created, and also to make those experiences with your friends.
It's one of the things I always tell people is like the airplane's amazing.
Yeah.
Because I like to get the airplane, I'll take my paramotor, put it in the back seat, and go fly somewhere. Because
that's a good way to put it.
Truly, you go fly to Kitty Hawk right now.
Yeah.
You take your Cherokee 6, right? You fly to Kitty Hawk, you land at First Flight Airport, you're like, man, made it at First Flight Airport. This is where Wilbur and Orville flew. That was cool. But you fly to First Flight Airport, you pull your paramotor out, you lay out your glider, you set up your motor, it takes you 10 minutes to do all that. You take off, and you go fly like Wilbur and Orville did. One of the things I used to call it when I first started doing this, like, this is the ultimate ATV. It's like you could buy a jet ski or a four-wheeler and go explore the area that you're in a box. In a paramotor, you could fly 10 feet across the ground and go explore, and then you see something over the next set of trees or over the next mountain or over the next ridge. Climb up over it, drop back down, and go experience the next thing. And there have been moments in Czech Republic and in Wisconsin where I'm flying through the mountainous terrain, and it's just, I say mountains, I'm from Florida.
Yeah.
Wisconsin's mountains are huge to me, but it's incredible. Like, you get to have a whole different microculture in one hollow. You take off on the top of a ridge and you drop down into the fog. You drop down across the next ridge and there's a beautiful river there. You can follow, trace the river. It's just, it still blows my mind. And I've done it so much.
Wow. What's the most favorite place you've ever flown?
Either here, Czech Republic, or Wisconsin.
Czech Republic or Wisconsin.
Yeah, and I love Costa Rica too. I love Jamaica too. I love all the other states I've flown in. There's so many different elements because the air feels different everywhere. I never felt that way when I flew airplanes, but flying this, you can feel the difference of the viscosity of the air, the pressure of the air.
You can smell it too.
Oh, you can taste it.
By the way, they live by orange groves, which smells pretty darn good.
It does. Although there are about 25,000 cattle around us, so sometimes it doesn't smell so good.
There you go. Well, Eric, thank you so much for sharing with us, man. And thank you for the amazing weekend you blessed us with. I'm really excited about your passion is really getting people into the sky, but doing it safely. And hearing your passion around education, not education through your means only, but just encouraging people to get in this part of the hobby, but also get an education, get the instruction to make sure it's safe and done properly.
Exactly.
And hats off to you on that, man.
Thanks, man. We're blessed. We really feel, my partner Travis and I, we both talk so much about like what our mission is in this business. And it's not just aviation. It's not just trying to make a living. It's trying to change people's lives through everything we're doing. And it sounds kind of kitschy and weird to say, hey, you're going to come and change your life. But really, we think that if you passionately pursue life, whatever that passion is, whether it's RCs or dirt bikes or flying, the willingness to follow your passion, to spit in the eyes of fear and just say, you know what? Nothing's going to stop me from following what I feel is right, what I feel is the best thing for me. It changes who you are, and it changes the world for make it a better place. And so we keep trying to do that, and we keep hoping that people will continue to honor us, and I'll never, ever, ever stop flying.
Well, I know we're going to have that next chapter in life, so thank you so much.
Man, truly.
Friends, we want to thank you for watching. We have more videos coming out than ever before, so I want to encourage you to subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification tab, and I think next time we see you, we'll be taking some lessons from you.
We'll see how this goes.